In most American cities, a down payment costs more than an entire house used to. But in a handful of Oklahoma towns, you can still buy a home for the price of a used Toyota. The catch? You have to be willing to live there. Welcome to the statistical tail end of the housing market. While the national median home price hovers around $400,000 and coastal cities require six-figure incomes just to rent a closet, parts of rural Oklahoma have been left behind by the economic boom. We are looking at 15 specific towns today. These aren't investment secrets or up-and-coming neighborhoods. They are places where population decline and shifting industries have pinned housing prices to the floor. We're talking about livable homes, sometimes with land, for $15,000, $20,000, or $30,000. But cheap comes with a price. Limited jobs, isolation, and occasionally environmental hazards. Today, we're touring 15 dirt-cheap towns to answer one question: is the trade-off worth it? Picher sits in the far northeast corner of Oklahoma, right against the Kansas and Missouri borders, in an area once known as the Tri-State Mining District. This town earned its place on extreme affordability lists not through normal market forces, but through environmental catastrophe and federal buyout programs. For decades, Picher produced lead and zinc that powered American industry through two world wars. The mining created prosperity, then left behind contamination so severe that the EPA designated the entire town a Superfund site. By 2009, the federal government recommended complete evacuation. Most residents took buyouts and left. Today, Picher exists in a kind of limbo. A handful of people still live there. Estimates vary from 20 to 100 residents, refusing to leave homes they've known for generations. Houses sell for almost nothing because technically you're not supposed to be there. The soil contains lead. The ground beneath is honeycombed with old mine shafts that occasionally cause sinkholes. This is extreme affordability, with extreme caveats. Yet there's something worth noting. The people who stayed did so intentionally. They're not trapped by poverty or lack of options. They're making a calculated decision that their connection to place, to community memory, to the landscape they know outweighs the documented risks. They garden in raised beds with imported soil. They test their children's blood lead levels regularly. They've chosen a life that prioritizes rootedness over safety margins. 20 miles southwest of Picher, Welch tells a gentler version of the same regional story. This town of about 600 people sits in Craig County, an area that transitioned from mining to ranching to not much, economically speaking. Houses in Welch regularly list for $15,000 to $35,000. You'll find small homes with yards, older construction but sound structures, properties that would cost $200,000 in an Oklahoma City suburb. The town has a post office, a Dollar General, a couple of churches, a school district serving the surrounding area. What Welch doesn't have is obvious employment. The nearest significant job centers are Joplin, Missouri, 45 minutes, and Tulsa, 90 minutes. Most people who live here either work remotely, are retired, farm or ranch small operations, or have found niche self-employment. This is crucial context for understanding ultra-affordable towns. Low housing costs usually correlate with limited local income opportunities, but there's a rhythm to life in Welch that appeals to certain people. Traffic means waiting for a neighbor to finish a conversation in the middle of the street. Crime is almost non-existent. Not because of sophisticated policing, but because everyone knows everyone. Kids ride bikes without helicopter parenting. The pace is genuinely slower, not as a lifestyle brand, but as reality. People who thrive in Welch tend to be either deeply rooted there already or radically reorienting their lives away from career advancement and toward sufficiency. It's a place that works if you've solved the income question independently of location, through remote work, retirement income, disability benefits, or extreme frugality paired with part-time work. Barnsdall sits in Osage County, about 45 minutes north of Tulsa, in an area with a more complex recent history than most ultra-affordable towns. This community of roughly 1,000 people has experienced the boom-bust cycle of Oklahoma oil economics, the shifting demographics of rural America, and most recently, devastating tornado damage. Houses here range from $20,000 to $50,000 for move-in ready properties. The town has maintained more infrastructure than some rural communities: a proper downtown area, a school system, parks, a public library. Proximity to Tulsa means employment is theoretically accessible, though the commute pushes the limits of daily feasibility for most people. What makes Barnsdall interesting is its position in Osage County, where mineral rights create an unusual economic layer. Some landowners receive oil and gas royalties that provide modest but consistent income independent of employment. This isn't universal. Many properties have severed mineral rights, but it contributes to a local economy less dependent on traditional jobs than pure agricultural towns. The community feel in Barnsdall reflects a mix of multi-generational families who've ranched or farmed for decades and newer arrivals looking for affordability within reasonable distance of urban amenities. The town's annual events, rodeos, festivals, school activities still draw regional participation, suggesting social vitality beyond what population numbers might indicate. The tornado damage complicates the picture. Parts of town were severely hit, creating a landscape of rebuilding and vacant lots. For potential residents, this represents both challenge and opportunity. Properties may need more work than listing photos suggest, but motivated buyers might negotiate even lower prices. Drumright calls itself the birthplace of Tom Mix, the silent film cowboy star, but its real identity was forged by the 1912 oil boom that transformed a railroad stop into a thriving city almost overnight. At its peak, Drumright held 15,000 people. Today, it's home to about 2,800. The housing stock reflects this history. Many homes date from the 1920s and 1930s, built quickly during boom times with varying levels of quality. You'll find properties ranging from $25,000 to $60,000, many needing updates but structurally sound, occasionally offering surprising details like original craftsman woodwork or period tile. Drumright sits almost exactly between Tulsa and Oklahoma City, about 50 miles from each. This central location provides theoretical access to two major metro job markets, though both require hour-plus commutes. More practically, Drumright serves as a bedroom community for people working in smaller nearby towns, Bristow, Sapulpa, Cushing, where commutes stay under 30 minutes. The town maintains a functioning downtown with local businesses, restaurants, and services. The school system serves several surrounding communities, providing continuity and social infrastructure. There's a public library, medical clinic, and the kind of community calendar, fish fries, craft fairs, holiday events that indicates ongoing civic participation. People who settle in Drumright successfully tend to appreciate older architecture, don't mind renovation projects, and value centrality within Oklahoma over proximity to any single city. It's a town for people who want more than a rural crossroads but less than suburban sprawl, a middle ground that offers affordability while maintaining connection to broader regional resources. Wewoka, the county seat of Seminole County, carries a unique place in both Oklahoma and American history. It served as the capital of the Seminole Nation after forced removal from Florida, and it remains culturally significant to the Seminole people today. The town's population hovers around 3,200. Housing in Wewoka runs from $20,000 to $55,000 for most properties. The town has maintained county infrastructure, courthouse, government offices, schools, hospital that provides more services than many comparable-sized Oklahoma towns. It sits about an hour from both Oklahoma City and the Shawnee area, making it accessible to larger job markets for those willing to commute. What distinguishes Wewoka is its cultural complexity. This isn't a monolithic rural community, but rather a place where Native American, African American, and white populations have coexisted and interacted for over a century. The resulting culture is distinctly Oklahoman, shaped by oil booms and busts, by tribal sovereignty and federal policy, by agricultural tradition and modern economic precarity. The town celebrates its Seminole heritage through museums and cultural events. The annual Sorghum Festival draws regional visitors. Local businesses reflect diverse ownership and varied approaches to small-town economy. There's a palpable sense of place here that goes beyond generic rural America. For people considering Wewoka, understanding this context matters. This is a community with deep roots, complicated history, and established social networks. Newcomers aren't unwelcome, but integration requires genuine interest in the place rather than treating it as cheap square footage near bigger cities. Hugo sits in the far southeastern corner of Oklahoma, 12 miles from the Texas border, in Choctaw Nation territory. With about 5,000 residents, it's one of the larger towns on this list, offering more commercial services while maintaining affordable housing, typically $30,000 to $65,000 for solid properties. Hugo earned an unusual claim to fame as a wintering ground for circus elephants. For decades, several traveling circuses based their operations here during off-season months, giving Hugo an unexpected connection to American entertainment history. That tradition has largely ended, but the legacy remains in local identity and quirky roadside attractions. The town benefits from its position as a regional hub for surrounding rural areas. It has a hospital, multiple grocery stores, chain restaurants, auto parts stores, and service businesses, the infrastructure that makes daily life functional without constant trips to larger cities. Jobs exist here, though they're modest. Retail, healthcare, education, county government, some manufacturing. Hugo Lake, a large reservoir just east of town, provides recreational opportunities that attract weekend visitors and support a small tourism economy. Fishing, boating, and camping draw people from Texas and other parts of Oklahoma, creating seasonal activity that supplements the local economy. The climate is markedly different from northern Oklahoma. Hotter, more humid, with longer growing seasons. This matters practically for gardening, home maintenance, and personal comfort preferences. Konawa, population roughly 1,200, sits in Seminole County about 60 miles southeast of Oklahoma City. It's a quintessential Oklahoma small town, grid streets, modest homes, grain elevators visible from a distance, high school football on Friday nights. Housing here runs $18,000 to $45,000, with occasional properties dipping below $15,000. Many homes date from the 1950s through 1970s, reflecting post-war construction booms that never quite matched the town's earlier oil-era growth. You'll find simple ranch styles, small two-bedrooms, occasional larger family homes on generous lots. The town maintains basic services, post office, convenience store, Dollar General, but relies on nearby Seminole, 15 minutes away, for groceries, healthcare, and most, shopping. This dependent relationship with a slightly larger nearby town is common in rural Oklahoma, creating de facto regional networks where several small communities orbit a county seat. Employment in Konawa itself is minimal. Most working residents commute to Seminole, Shawnee, or occasionally Oklahoma City. The town functions primarily as affordable housing for people whose livelihoods happen elsewhere, whether that's jobs in other towns, retirement income, or remote work. What Konawa offers is simplicity and genuine affordability. You can own a house outright for what many Americans spend annually on rent. Your neighbors will be multi-generational families, retirees on fixed incomes, and working-class folks maximizing limited resources. Pauls Valley, with about 6,000 residents, represents the upper end of affordability on this list, while still offering housing well below national norms. Typically $40,000 to $80,000 for decent properties, with occasional fines in the $25,000 to $35,000 range. Located on Interstate 35 halfway between Oklahoma City and the Texas border, Pauls Valley benefits from its position on a major transportation corridor. This brings truck stops, chain hotels, and some commercial activity beyond what population alone would support. It's the county seat of Garvin County, providing government employment and services. The town has maintained more economic vitality than many rural Oklahoma communities. There's manufacturing presence, agricultural business infrastructure, and service sector jobs supporting surrounding ranching areas. The local hospital employs significant numbers. While none of this creates a thriving job market by urban standards, it provides more local employment options than purely bedroom communities. Pauls Valley has also invested in maintaining its downtown and creating amenities, parks, a splash pad, community events that suggest civic engagement beyond minimal maintenance. The schools serve a broad rural area, creating social infrastructure that extends beyond town limits. The housing market here reflects this relative stability. Properties are still deeply affordable by national standards, but less extreme than dying towns. You're buying into a functional community with ongoing economic activity rather than betting on pure minimalism. Antlers sits in the heavily forested Kiamichi Mountains of southeastern Oklahoma in Pushmataha County, one of the state's most sparsely populated and economically challenged areas. The town has about 2,300 residents and offers housing from $20,000 to $50,000. The landscape here differs dramatically from central and northern Oklahoma. This is timber country, pine and hardwood forests, substantial elevation changes, lakes and streams, genuine wilderness in nearby federally protected areas. It feels more like Arkansas or East Texas than Great Plains, Oklahoma. This geography shapes both the appeal and the challenges. Antlers attracts people drawn to outdoor recreation, hunting, fishing, hiking, camping. The surrounding Ouachita National Forest provides public land access that would cost a fortune in most states. For people whose life satisfaction centers on nature rather than career advancement or urban culture, this region offers something genuinely valuable. But employment is scarce. The timber industry that once sustained the area has contracted. Tourism creates some seasonal work. Otherwise, jobs are limited to education, government, and minimal retail. The nearest significant city, Durant, is 45 minutes away. Antlers works for a specific profile: retirees seeking natural beauty on fixed incomes, remote workers prioritizing outdoor recreation, people who hunt and fish seriously enough that proximity to wilderness justifies other sacrifices, and those radically committed to self-sufficiency who view the forest as resource rather than scenery. Ringling, population roughly 100, barely qualifies as a town by most definitions. It's essentially a crossroads with a post office in Jefferson County, about 20 miles north of the Texas border. Houses here occasionally sell for under $10,000, genuinely shocking prices even by ultra-affordable Oklahoma standards. These aren't livable houses in the conventional sense, they're old structures, often needing complete renovation, sometimes essentially teardowns with salvageable foundations. But land comes with them, quarter-acre, half-acre, sometimes more, in a region where property taxes remain negligible. Ringling represents the absolute frontier of affordable housing in America. Places where human settlement persists, but urban conveniences have completely retreated. No grocery store, no gas station, no restaurant. The nearest services are in Wewoka or Ryan, small towns themselves. So why mention Ringling at all? Because it represents an option, extreme, unconventional, requiring radical self-sufficiency, that some people actively seek. Homesteaders willing to haul water, generate power, grow food, artists or writers wanting genuine isolation. People psychologically done with conventional society who need ultra-cheap land to experiment with alternative living. Ringling isn't for most people. It's barely for anyone. But in an America where housing costs have made millions feel trapped and powerless, knowing that places like Ringling exist, where you can own land and shelter for the price of a used appliance, matters to the people for whom it matters. It's the edge of the map where affordability meets total self-reliance. Okemah, birthplace of folk singer Woody Guthrie, sits in Okfuskee County with about 3,200 residents. Housing ranges from $25,000 to $55,000, with the town maintaining more character than many comparable rural Oklahoma communities. The Woody Guthrie connection isn't just tourist marketing. It reflects a genuine folk music tradition and working-class history that still influences local culture. The annual Woody Fest draws musicians and fans from across the country, creating brief but real cultural vitality that gives Okemah a different flavor than purely agricultural towns. Okemah functions as a county seat with corresponding infrastructure: courthouse, schools, hospital, basic retail. It sits about 60 miles from Oklahoma City and 70 from Tulsa, making it theoretically commutable but practically distant for daily work travel. Most employment is local: government, education, healthcare, agriculture-related business. The town has preserved its brick downtown, maintained parks, and sustained community events beyond what population alone might support. There's a library, community center, and active historical society. This cultural maintenance matters. It suggests civic engagement and social infrastructure that outlives individual economic cycles. People drawn to Okemah tend to appreciate its creative legacy, value small-town community without complete isolation, and accept limited local employment in exchange for genuine affordability and cultural texture. It works for remote workers, retirees, artists, and people whose work lives happen independently of location. Boswell in Choctaw County, near the Texas border, has fewer than 700 residents and represents the kind of place most Americans drive through without stopping. Houses sell for $15,000 to $40,000, often on larger lots than you'd find in more populated areas. The town sits in an agricultural region where ranching and farming continue, though with fewer people than previous generations. Main Street has the familiar pattern: vacant buildings interspersed with a post office, a convenience store, maybe a cafe open limited hours. The school consolidates students from surrounding rural areas, serving as the primary community institution. What Boswell offers is space and silence. Properties often include outbuildings, fenced pasture, mature trees, land that would be subdivided and sold lot by lot in growing areas. For people interested in small-scale farming, keeping animals, or simply having acreage, Boswell provides opportunities impossible at these price points anywhere near urban centers. Employment requires either remote work, retirement income, or acceptance of serious commuting to Durant or other regional towns. Local jobs are minimal: some ranch work, school positions, county maintenance. Boswell appeals to people fleeing density, seeking privacy, wanting land for practical use rather than investment. It's extreme rural living without the romantic gloss, genuinely isolated, requiring self-sufficiency, but offering something that's become rare: the ability to own substantial property outright on minimal income. Cameron, in LaFleur County in eastern Oklahoma's mountain region, has about 300 residents. Houses sell from $20,000 to $45,000, often older construction on forested lots near the Poteau area. This region differs topographically from central Oklahoma. Heavily wooded hills, clearer seasonal changes, proximity to Arkansas. Cameron itself is minimal. No incorporated services beyond a post office, with residents depending on Poteau, 15 minutes away, for groceries, healthcare, and employment. What makes Cameron notable is its position within a region that offers natural beauty and outdoor recreation beyond what most of Oklahoma provides. The nearby Winding Stair Mountains, Ouachita National Forest, and various state parks create opportunities for people whose lifestyle centers on hunting, fishing, hiking, and similar pursuits. The housing stock tends toward smaller, older homes, often built in the 1960s or 1970s, requiring maintenance and updates, but situated on lots with trees and privacy that would be impossible at these prices near any metro area. Some properties offer mountain views. Many include enough land for substantial gardens or small-scale homesteading. Employment is the obvious challenge. The timber industry has declined, manufacturing is limited, and most work is service sector or commute-dependent. Cameron functions primarily as affordable housing for people whose income happens elsewhere. Sallisaw, in Sequoyah County along Interstate 40 near the Arkansas border, has about 8,000 residents, making it one of the larger communities on this list. Housing ranges from $35,000 to $75,000, with occasional properties below $30,000. The town benefits from highway access and its position in Cherokee Nation territory, which brings tribal government services, healthcare facilities, and employment opportunities beyond what non-tribal towns of similar size offer. There's a regional hospital, multiple schools, chain retail, and service businesses supporting a broader rural population. Sallisaw sits in an agricultural region known for strawberry production, with annual festivals celebrating this heritage. The local economy blends farming, tribal government, education, healthcare, and highway-dependent commerce, creating more employment diversity than purely agricultural towns. The landscape here transitions between Oklahoma plains and Ozark foothills, with Lake Tenkiller and other recreational areas nearby. It's greener, more forested, with milder winters than western Oklahoma. Housing stock varies widely: mid-century ranch homes, newer manufactured housing, occasional larger properties. The market reflects a functioning small city rather than a dying town. Properties turn over, people move in for jobs, families stay multi-generationally. Sallisaw appeals to people wanting small-town affordability with access to basic amenities, who appreciate tribal community infrastructure, and who can find employment either locally or through reasonable commuting to Fort Smith, Arkansas, 30 minutes away. It represents a different affordability model than extreme rural towns, not the absolute cheapest, but functional, with ongoing economic activity and services that make daily life manageable without urban resources. Porum, in Muscogee County with about 700 residents, sits near Lake Eufaula, one of Oklahoma's largest reservoirs. Housing ranges from $20,000 to $50,000, with properties often including lake access or water views. The lake proximity shapes everything about Porum. This is recreational property at working-class prices, the kind of waterfront access that would cost 10 times more in most states. Fishing, boating, and outdoor recreation drive what economy exists beyond basic services. The town itself is minimal: a post office, convenience store, maybe a small marina or bait shop. Real services require driving to Warner or Chakotah, both about 15 to 20 minutes away, or Muskogee, 30 minutes. Employment is limited to tourism-related seasonal work, county positions, or commuting. But for people who value water access above career prospects or convenience, Porum offers something genuinely valuable. You can own property with lake frontage for what most Americans pay monthly for rent. You can fish from your own shoreline. You can kayak, swim, and boat without marina fees or public beach crowds. This appeals to retirees whose recreation budget matters more than proximity to medical specialists, remote workers who paddle or fish daily, and families willing to trade commute time for outdoor lifestyle. These 15 towns prove that the American dream of homeownership isn't dead. It just moved to places most people aren't willing to go. These aren't perfect towns. They require hard work, commuting, and a change in lifestyle. But for the price of a used car, they offer something increasingly rare: a place to call your own. Would you move to any of these? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.